He'll paint your noose like an old man. He's got you thinking about your death and you are frightened.
Hi guys to everyone, I'm Ada from Poison Rock, and today with us, and for me it's a huge honor to have with us John Macko from Fifth Angel. It is a huge band that was in the 80s and come back now. So I want to start just because I know that most people from the present, especially the teenager, probably they didn't know, I don't know, Fifth Angel how it was in the past. So I'm asking you to speak how Fifth Angel burned and of course speak about the present, about the current lineup.
Okay, so to repeat your question is to speak about how the band was formed.
Yes, sure.
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, I am not a completely original member, so I kind of came on board a little bit after.
Yeah.
So the band was originally, but I do know the story, of course.
Sure.
The band was originally formed by Ted Pilot, Ed Archer, James Bird, and Ken Mary.
Okay.
Those guys all, they all kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
You know, like they were in high school together.
Yeah.
And they played in different bands in high school in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
Now, I'm originally from California, so this was really before I had moved to Seattle. But anyway, they, those guys were all in bands throughout high school.
Yeah.
They were some of the guys were even in bands with the guys from Queensryche.
Really?
So it was a tight knit of the musicians during the early to mid 80s. So they, I think it was mainly James, Ed, and Ted that decided to form a band.
The band.
And then they had brought Ken on board.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the band started.
Yes, sure.
They did some demos.
Of course.
Which they submitted to Mike Varney's label at the time, which was Shrapnel Records, which of course is Justine was on that label, So that really is kind of what launched the band.
The band, yeah.
At that point.
And when you joined them? When you joined them?
Okay, so I joined. I believe it was 86.
When the first album was released, basically.
I had never even heard of the band. So I had recently moved to Seattle from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I was just playing like in club bands and road bands. I would go and, go out on the road and that's how I was making my living. You could do that back in those days.
That's why the 80s were amazing. Yeah.
So, and then I had a friend that was working at a music store, and he told me that he said, "Hey, I know a band who's getting signed to Epic Records, and they're looking for a bass player." So I just submitted a demo package, and I went out and auditioned, and I got the gig.
That's amazing.
At that point, they were, they had released the first record.
The first record, yeah.
Right, okay. And it did really well, in the metal community. Caught my attention. of Epic Sony Records, who then came and offered to buy the contract from Mike Varney. So Mike Varney sold the contract to Epic. Okay, then, and that was right about, now at that point, they didn't even have a bass player. You know,
So,
they had a promo picture with
yeah,
a guy named Kenny, who's a friend of the band, but he
yeah,
actually was just a fill-in for the picture. He wasn't,
yes, he
he was
was
not
in
a
the
bass
band.
player,
Yeah,
and played the bass parts.
yeah,
So they didn't, but so when they were getting signed by Epic, they were like, okay, we have to have
when
an
a bass
bass
player.
player.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's when they started the audition
Yeah,
process. And then, I submitted, I went out and auditioned, and I got lucky and they hired me. So that's kind of where I came on board. And then that was during the contract
yeah.
negotiations with Epic.
So you joined them basically when the Fifth Angel first album were already released.
I did not play on the first record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in your opinion, what could you say about the first album? If you have to speak about that by your point of view.
I personally love the first album.
Yeah.
I still have to say it's probably my favorite out of the three that we've done. And probably most fans will agree with that. There was kind of a magic in the songwriting. The melodies and the melodies and the lyrics and everything were just so strong.
Yeah,
It would have been nice if it was a better engineered and produced record, but even by today's standards, the production's pretty crappy, but the music just still stands out. And I would say those are probably still my favorite songs that they stick in your brain.
Yeah, in your brain, yeah, of course. But the following in 1999, Time Will Tell was released, and I think you were there in the band, and you played you participated in the composition, I think in the lyrics. So what about this album? Because it's I think the most well known by the fans, and you think there is some difference in the music, in the sound. I mean, something was changed from Fifth Angel to Time Will Tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously there's quite a difference in songwriting style. That was kind of dictated by the label.
By the label, yeah.
With Epic, yeah. Because if you think about the time period when that record came out, so you think about what was really big and what was selling in the kind of in the later 90s, was Whitesnake.
Yeah. Air metal, yeah. Air.
Yeah, really kind of more of a commercial poppy metal.
Yeah.
And, they wanted hits. That's what they were looking for.
They wanted.
And so they really kind of pushed more of that kind of a theme.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, so we kind of followed suit. I think hindsight, I think we should have stuck to our guns and just probably done another record like Fifth Angel, but we did. It's still a great album.
Yes, of course it is.
And now that, and of course that's, the one thing that we do really well is we write really good songs.
Yes.
That's our strength.
And this is what I wanted to ask you. If there is a story behind my favorite song, that is Time Will Tell. How Time Will Tell, the song, speaking about the song, is born. And of course I was making the video, the behind of the video. I was it because is I think the only old video that is online that you can find of Fifth Angel. So I wanted to know more about this song, especially the lyrics, if it's based on some real story or some feelings about something. You know, more about this piece, this song.
I'm not 100% positive on the story, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think it's there. There was, especially on Time Will Tell. There
yeah,
was a lot of writing in general. Of course,
yeah,
Ted Pilot wrote all of the lyrics, and Ted was really kind of going through personal
yeah,
changes in his life, where,
yes,
and of course that album was, his departure, not only from the band but also from music in general.
yes,
He kind of found himself in a situation where personally he was really heading in a different direction.
yes,
And
sure.
if you kind of listen to so long, you'll
Yeah.
kind of get some of those hints of where he's really talking about himself,
Yeah.
about personal change.
Change.
So I guess that would be the way I would phrase it.
Yeah.
As far as the video, I mean, the video is really kind of stupid, and of course the video has nothing to do with the message of the song.
Yeah.
That was a total label thing.
Label thing.
And
Yeah.
of course, a typical executive, decision made by somebody who probably never even really listened to
To
the
the
message
song.
of the
The message of the
So,
song. Yeah.
when you watch the video, you're like, well, what does that have to do with the song?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea. It's just a dumb 80s video. I mean, it was fun to shoot it. We shot the whole thing in one day in New York, in Manhattan. It was a pain in the ass, actually. It was a long frickin' day. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the story on that.
But if you have to, for example, to suggest a song from the first two albums, because we are speaking about the past, to the new guy that are knowing now Fifth Angel, so listening to the last album, for example, but they want also to know the past of the band, which song would you recommend to them?
To recommend to who?
To the new fans. I mean, to the new fans that are getting in touch with. Yeah.
As far as getting them on board.
Okay.
I would probably, choose probably one of, maybe a couple of the songs off of the first album,
First album.
which I would say that the song that really stands out to me the most on that record is "Cry Out the Fools." That's kind of a personal favorite. And of course the song "Fifth Angel," which is, it's probably one of the most simple, basic songs.
Yeah.
That we have recorded, but you can't. It's so easy to remember that song, and it's a very powerful song that we play.
Yeah,
live.
of course.
Also, "Wings of Destiny."
Yeah.
"Wings of Destiny" is a very powerful song.
Yes.
From Time Will Tell. Of course, Time Will Tell is interesting because you have more of these pop commercial kind of songs, like Midnight Love or Time Will Tell. But then you got some heavier songs like Cathedral or 7 Hours, We Rule. So that album's got a little bit of that. And then I would say always for new fans, some of the songs off of The Third Secret. Especially for maybe the younger audience. Because with The Third Secret, that's modern production.
It's better, of
a little
course.
bit more what they're used to, and there's so many good tracks off of The Third Secret. The song "The Third Secret," "Stars Are Falling," Queen of Thieves. is just is a killer song.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't have Ted Pilot singing on that record,
Of course,
but Kendall, did such an amazing job.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but there's a lot of people who they say, well, Kendall, he did a great job, but we miss Ted Pilot.
Yeah, yes,
What do
yes,
you
sure,
think?
of course. But of course, as you know, better than me, as you were saying before, the 80s were a period where we can say air or air metal, glam metal was like basically the most commercial of most spread kind of music. So because we all knew that where the Sunset Strip was famous, and but in any scene, we can say in any part of the world of the United States, where this huge band they make like the history of this kind of music. There was some band that you loved most on that period, of that period.
One more time on the question.
I would say that there is or there are some bands that you love most of that period.
Oh, okay. So for me personally,
Yes, yes, yes.
bands that I liked during that period,
Yeah.
I would say obviously, some of the obvious ones. So, Dio,
Yeah.
I love Dio, Black Sabbath. I've been listening to Black Sabbath since I was 14 years old.
14 years, yeah.
I remember getting the very first album. So a big
Wow.
Black Sabbath fan myself. Dio, Iron Maiden, of
Yeah.
course. I also really liked a lot of the, I loved Scorpions.
Scorpions.
I loved Whitesnake. I'm still a huge
Still a huge,
Whitesnake.
yes, they are doing still a huge
I
job.
mean, Coverdale, just
The,
places like that is just
yeah.
one in a million. So some bands like that.
Yes, and if since because I mean you like you said, for example, that your like label at the time tried to put you in this, we can say air metal world, but as I know, your way of playing is like more a little bit heavy metal. But if I have to really I don't like to make a label to a band, but
Sure.
of course there is a difference from air metal to heavy metal. There is some little bit different. If I have to say about Fifth Angel, who what type of music Fifth Angel really wanted and played, besides all the labels that could give any.
I mean, we're just metal.
Yeah, just
Just metal, classic metal.
classic metal. Yeah.
Classic metal, I think, is really probably
Yeah,
the best.
yeah, because listening, I mean, speaking for myself, listening some songs, some albums, I can feel some influences of heavy metal, some influences of the ballads, some ballads that is more, I don't want to say heavy air metal, but remembers these ballads of the 80s, we can say 80s ballads. So I hear different influences. If I'm not wrong, you are the in Fifth Angel, not me. But this is from a fan which I felt, which I received, and that's amazing because you don't have only air metal, just like dancing song or ballad song. You have more choices. So
Right.
this,
And ballads. So speaking of ballads,
yeah,
ballads have always been, something that we've done on all of the
yeah,
records. And now our ballads are I think a little bit different than like a Whitesnake ballad.
yeah, yes, I heard
Or,
it. Yeah,
Whitesnake type of ballad or Scorpions type of ballad.
yeah,
I think it's really more like your typical like a love song.
yeah.
Our ballads are not love
Love song.
songs. They usually have deep meaning. Wings of
meaning.
Destiny is about war.
Yeah.
You know, and on Time Will Tell, we had a couple of ballads.
Yes,
We had So Long and Broken Dreams is not a love song, you know.
Yeah, because
So our ballads are usually have kind of a
yes, and this
serious.
was a question that I wanted to ask about, in fact, about your topic in the lyrics, because in the 80s, most of the band, we can say, because we were speaking about this type of music, mostly if you weren't on heavy metal band, mostly the hair metal band speak about love, having fun, but it always was based on the love. I don't know, What Lion with the Broken Heart, was all the time love story,
Sure.
falling out of love.
Yeah,
And I
that's
wanted to know,
what was popular, right?
yeah, and I wanted to know what is the main topic of the Fifth Angel songs lyrics?
Well, um, I and again, you know, I was not
Yeah,
involved in the
the song,
songwriting
yeah,
process, but I think we just did not. That was really it. You know, we've never been that type of a band,
yeah,
you know, where we write, you know, love songs,
yeah,
so to speak. It's just never really been our style. I can't
yeah,
really
sure,
say why. You know, maybe it was just because we didn't want to, you know, completely, you know, follow suit from the other
yeah,
band.
yeah,
But I
sure,
think it was more like the, you know, if you know you know, we've always been trying to express messages, uh,
yes,
and typically, with you know, other than a few
yeah,
exceptions, our messages are usually have to do with you know things that involve how things are in the world,
in the
you
world,
know, and
yeah,
where, you know, and you know the state of things, you know,
yeah,
whether it's war or you know difficult times
yeah. We can say
and
more,
personal
yeah, more personal
personal
and psychological,
struggle,
yeah,
personal struggles, things of
yes,
that nature. So you know that's just how we kind of decided
yes,
that we would you
yes.
know kind of gear our
Yes,
songwriting.
yes. I mean, like I said, you were Fifth Angel are basically from Seattle, and of course, we all knew that these in the middle of the 90s there was this. You were like we can say you were there when the new a new type of music were born. Like we were speaking about the grunge. You think,
Right.
in your opinion, you think that it helped? I mean, it helped. It was one of the cause that all these hair metal bands just ended because when grunge comes out, all these type of music, all the hair metal air slowly goes to disappear. At
Mhm.
least for the biggest one, because for example, Whitesnake or other bands. But for the smallest band, they basically disappear from the scene to just give the scene to all the grunge band.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that time period very well.
Yeah,
It was weird because it was literally like almost like it was overnight. It was like somebody flipped a frickin' switch and all of a sudden it's like, boom, you know, we're all done, you know.
yeah,
And it wasn't just us, but it was like you said, it was the majority
yeah,
of the you know 80s metal bands
yeah,
that we just lost our market is what happened.
yes,
The market just like um, you know fell right out from our feet,
yes,
and
sure,
then the market shifted toward that type of music.
yeah,
You know, we got dropped by our label, but you know, and you know, some of the bands hung in there.
yeah,
And then, of course, you know, I think you know the bands like Motley Crue and
yeah.
Whitesnake, they were you know, they kind of were able to you know
Because
survive
because they are
during
maybe
that period.
major
But
label behind it. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, honestly, and your name is pronounced Ada or Ada?
as you prefer, it's the same.
Ada. Okay, so yeah, Ada. Honestly, during that time period, we figured all of us, we were like, that's it, you know, or, you know, the
Yeah,
band is done. We're done forever. Um,
yeah, but
and then we come back, you
yes,
know,
and I was, in
which,
fact, I was.
which I would have,
You came back in 2019, in 2018. I mean, you come back with Third Secret. I mean, and how was it coming back after so many years, and how all this music? I mean, because a war changed, all the music changed in all these years. How was it coming back, and how do you find the scene changed? It was, I mean, it was strange. It was like nothing. Like, for example, nothing happened, and just like a continuum and continuous of the past. How was it coming back?
It was, well, it was unexpected, number
Yeah.
one. Number two, it was difficult. It was
Yeah.
difficult. Um, because, like I said, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
Nobody in the band had any plans that this would happen. So honestly, we got lucky.
Yeah.
We just got lucky. It was just a matter of the timing and everything.
Yeah.
And things. Well, it was 2010
Yeah.
when things kind of got rolling again. And actually, I'll just give you the quick story. So in the summer of 2009, I had already moved from Seattle to Florida, which is where I live now. And some of the other band members had kind of scattered, went to Phoenix and blah blah blah. And I got a phone call in the summer of 2009 from the promoter of the Keep It True festivals, Oliver.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure how he even got my phone number, but anyway, I get a call from overseas, and he says, "Hey, this is Oliver. I promote this festival that we have every year in Germany, and we'd like Fifth Angel to headline in 2010." And I was like, "What? Like, are you crazy?" I'm like,
after 16 years almost.
I was like, who the hell even cares about Fifth Angel? And he says, "Oh, you'd be surprised. You guys still have a big fan base." So this is, we're talking 20 years later, and I never even considered the possibility. So anyway, that's what kind of got the ball rolling. I contacted, all of the members of the band. Some of them were on board, some of them weren't. Long story short, we went and played, the festival. That kind of got the ball start. We played the festival. I think we did a good job considering we hadn't been together for 20 years.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't say we were great, but they loved us. And then when we got back, we thought, well, hey, maybe we'll, try to do another record. So we spent a few years trying to kind of get things moving. And we did some demos, but we kind of found that we were really behind behind the eight ball. We really were not prepared as far as in terms of technology.
Everything was changed, of course.
Everything had changed, with all of the recording techniques. And so we found that we were really not prepared. And then the songwriting and the demos, and we just really couldn't get it to quite gel. So we spent 2 or 3 years trying to make things work.
To like things working,
And it didn't. It kind of fell apart, and then we kind of put the whole thing, on the shelf. And then in 2017, I think, 2017 or right around that time, I got a phone call from Ken, and he said, "Hey, let's get the band back together," type of thing. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, let's
do it.
Give it another crack." And so we kind of got the ball rolling once again, having Ken part of the band, because Ken was not part of the original 2010 thing. So having him back in the picture definitely gave us some more push and gave us some more speed. And then we went and played the Keep It True Festival a second time in 2017. And it was much better.
Yeah.
And at that show, I happened, after we got done, Yap from Nuclear Blast
Nuclear blast. Yeah.
came, he's one of the top A&R guys
Yeah.
there. And he came up and he said, hey, man, that was a great show. And he says, let's do a new record.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay.
Okay, let's do it again
Yes,
after
with
all
my
these
art,
years.
with my art. So, I mean, and what an incredible offer to
Yeah,
just be,
sure.
here you go, and
Yeah.
we went and we
Likewise,
did,
here we go again.
here we go again.
Yeah.
So we did 3 songs. We sent
Yeah.
them 3 songs. We were kind of like, gee, I don't, and they signed us off those 3 songs.
That's amazing. So it was like
Like, boom,
third
boom,
secret
boom.
came out. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it was
and
amazing.
And speaking about, of course, the future project, because we are now in 2020, and apart COVID, what are doing Fifth Angel? What are they planning for the future?
Well, of course, right now with COVID,
Yeah, of course, we have all.
we are working on
Yeah.
new material.
Yeah, sure.
So, matter of fact, I've
Yes, you're working on new
got that
tracks.
going on. Yeah. So yeah, we're working on some new material that we'll submit to the label.
That looks great.
But honestly, everything is up in the air. I mean, who knows? I don't think anybody knows.
No, right now, no. But the thing that I want to know that would be there will be some changes in the future to see you live, of course. Apart with this COVID.
I mean, obviously, I'm
This is what I.
Unless the whole world goes to hell in a handbasket. But,
Yeah.
I'm assuming at some point, of course, we will get back out on the road as soon as we
Yeah,
can.
really.
But honestly, I don't think anybody is going to be even playing shows next year.
No, I think for it will be. I was speaking this with Leather because as I told you, with Leather, Leone, we are trying to do a tour, but in 2021, it's not the small venue, even the bigger festival they are thinking twice if they said yes or not, because you can lose money, you can lose everything. So I think the musical scene, we can say general musical scene, will return in 2022. This is what my thoughts.
That's what.
Yes, and
well. Yeah,
before,
because they have to plan way ahead.
Sure.
I think by next summer, there should be a vaccine, and I think it will be safe. But by that time, it's too late.
Yes, and
So,
of course, before ending, I want, of course, to know, because we spoke about the band and everything, but since you're a bass player, because I'm a bass player as well, I wanted to know your bass player influences as bass player, if you had any influences.
I'm sorry. One more time, I didn't.
I wanted to ask you your personal influences as bass player.
Oh, okay. Well, my kind of a interesting question, but I started out way back. My first influences on the bass was like Chris Squire from the band Yes, and I listened to like a lot of I know we used to call that kind of music. I listened to bands like Genesis. Yes,
Genesis, yeah.
A band called Gentle Giant.
Gentle Giant, sure, of course.
And then I used to listen, when I was a teenager, I used to listen to Black Sabbath, but then a lot of those kinds of bands. So those bands, were a big influence on me. so Chris Squire was the bass player.
Yeah.
Michael Rutherford from Genesis. Eric Ohm,
Genesis are
from Gentle Giant. I listened to some Italian bands too.
you really? Which
Yeah,
one?
a band called Leorme,
Leorme,
and
PPFM,
called Banco,
Banco, and also I think PFM.
PFM. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I still have some of those records.
These are we can say the best Italian band we had in the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listen, to a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of music.
Yeah.
And that was a big influence on me.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And all of those, most of those guys,
Yeah.
were pick players.
Pick play. And you prefer playing with the pick or with the finger?
I play with a pick.
With the pick. I get confused with the play with the pick. I find more natural for me using the fingers for playing. But of course, my dream has always been having an hair metal band. But as you know, it's impossible in these days because everyone wants another type of metal and music, and of course it's impossible. So I decided, in fact, for this, I decided to move in the other way of in the other world of the music, interviewing, organizing, and planning. So I said, okay, in this way I can listen my music and maybe interview I interviewing you, my hero. I am.
You are a bass player?
Yes, I started.
Okay.
At 13 years old, almost 20 years that I started to playing bass. But I always prefer. I mean, I like to be in the world music, and since here in Sicily there are not so many people because they play here only extreme metal. Since there are not many people open to play like, as I told you, air metal or just even a rock and roll metal like Motorhead, for example.
Right.
There are not so many people open to this type of music. I just said, okay, do another thing. Just go to the webzine, interview artists, and for the rest of the time, I will keep on listening my favorite song because I playing along the bass, some song, or I don't know, Motley Crue or White Snake is not the same. So, and
so you play.
Yes. I started like this. It's hard. Sometimes it's painful because you get tired. But yes, but it's a lot of years that I don't get really a bass in my hand because I'm interviewing. I'm during especially this year of quarantine, COVID, a pandemic, we can say. I'm trying to interview more bands as I can because I think that these also give the chance to the fans and the fans of music in general to know more bands. Because even myself interviewing different bands, I'm find out a new type of music that I like. Just interviewing the bands. But since I had the chance to interview Fifth Angel that I knew from the past when I was 10 years ago, I said, why not? This is my turn. I interview all the thrash metal, death metal. Now it's my turn to interview a band which I grew up. So this is my turn. Yeah. So before ending, I wanted to say just if you want to leave a message to Fifth Angel fans from the past, from the present, and that's it.
I would say my message would be thank all of you for all of the support throughout the years, and we are all so grateful that that you guys are still around supporting the band, and the band is not going away anytime soon, and look forward to the next Fifth Angel record, which, if everything goes right, will release next year.
Can't wait.
And it's going to be a great record. We have some new people that are on the record, and and hang in there, and we will get out on the road as soon as we can.
So
So
thank you so much. So it was really a pleasure for me having you as a guest finally, and I hope to have more bands like yours for me, for myself, because we can say that it was like an interview for me, but because I want that the people outside, they just open a little bit their mind, and that they also knew that there are other type of music that beside death metal and thrash metal, the classic music, the classic metal, as you say, it could be or could be heavy metal, the roots of music, we can say. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you in some festival. It would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It was an honor. Thank you so much. Bye.
Always comes out right when you want your fight. Oh, you can't refuse what the old man whispered to the preacher during the sermon. He's a saint to the fools of the old land, but we can see straight through the tricks that he is turning. He'll speak, but you gotta believe.